Hey guys, so today we are answering a subscriber question, and the question in question was, Frederick, what type of software developer would you like for your own startup? So let's get into it. Well, it's pretty similar to I basically work for a company like that these days, but I think I can answer this. So I will make a statement, and that statement is that the vast majority of startups have, as many small companies have, one fundamental problem, and that is budget. And budget restricts your ability to buy the things that you need. In other words, what the big companies do, which is usually to hire, they try to hire quite a lot of people, because really big companies have a lot of money and they have a lot of very, very big projects. But because they have all that money, they can they can afford to hire what we call specialists. Now, a specialist in the sense that, or in the context of what we're talking about in software development, is usually an individual who is highly skilled within one specific thing. And this is kind of where the back end, front end, operations people, and these different terms come into play, and they become more important. You have people who are really strong in, say, I don't know, C# or Java or C, or it doesn't really matter. They really focus on one thing, and maybe they have quite a few years of seniority. And the thing is that unless you have a company, let's say for the sake of argument that your startup actually does something like, I don't know, high-speed trading or machine learning algorithms, something highly niched or something very specific, then it makes a lot of sense to have people who are extremely good at that specific thing, right? But I will argue that on average, most of the startups and the smaller companies out there are building business value producing products that require you to have multiple parts to your system. And that is why I personally think that the people that I would hire for my own startup are generalists. What you're looking for is more in line with people who are fairly good at a range of things and really care about what they do, because that's one of the main things. You need people to actually care, because when you are a small company, you cannot afford to have people who are either unskilled or slow or unproductive or unmotivated or things like that, or if they especially if they have some weird niche thing like that, they will only work with this or not that, and so you can't have that. You need people who can pretty much take on whatever task you give them and deal with it in a fairly efficient manner. And in my world, the only people that does this, that have these characteristics, are the people who view themselves as everybody has something they're a little bit better at than something else. It's not about being a master of everything, but a person who kind of just loves the job and really enjoys just producing value with their tools. These are the sorts of people that, at least I personally think, make the best people in the beginning of a company's life cycle. It changes over time, because what usually happens is that the quality, in the beginning, the quality of the product and the startup itself is it's very ad hoc, and the quality is often a little bit lower, depending on, of course, who you get for the company. And that changes over time, and as the company matures, you get more and more funding, and your processes grow, and you have more administrative work, you have more people, and finally you get to a point, ideally you get to a point where you actually have the money and the people to have a very rigorous process of quality assurance and all of that good stuff. And now you can actually hire specialists to raise that bar even higher. But in the beginning, it's much more important to be able to move quickly and have a very short time to market. So you need people who can pretty much just jump in wherever, because you can't really afford to have just a hire a specialist for every job. So having a generalist is, in my world, probably the way to go, and ideally somebody who really cares. So what I want you to take away from this is that one thing that should always be considered when you're hiring people, it doesn't have to be for a startup, is to ask the fundamental question, in what stage, what part of the life cycle of a company are you in? Because if you are, in this case, in a startup, you won't really gain so much from having a specialist who can do one specific thing, and you can't really keep that person engaged and productive. But you will gain quite a lot from having somebody who kind of knows, like, has a more generalist approach, because in the beginning you're building everything from scratch, right? Everything is completely fresh, and you have requirements coming in from left and right, and you don't really have all that much money. So it's vital that you collect a strong team, ideally a small team of people who share this vision and are generalists, so that they can kind of jump in and do whatever is needed for the moment. Because in the beginning things move very, very quickly back and forth. Your stakeholders are going to have requirements, and the next day you have another customer. Things move very, very they move quickly, and they are very chaotic in general. But that changes over time when you go up to, when you become a really big corporation and things become much more stable, and quality and stability become bigger factors than what they have been in the past. Have a great day.